Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Return of the Jedi, aka Episode 6 of PetMed. So, at the end of the last video, I had a lot of deliberation as to what the next steps would be, and I was leaning towards validation, but I can do that at any time. What I really need done right now is email validation, and in order for email validation, I need emailing. So, we're going to be working on services today. So, I decided to go with Mailgun just because I've used them a bunch. I like how it works. It's pretty easy getting started with. So I've added my environment variables, which we will get an API key and a domain with which we are sending everything through. In addition to that, I also want like the URL base for which this is sending, so this is going to be your client-side URL. With this app locally, my server is running on port 3000, but I do want to be sending out emails that say localhost colon 8000 as the preface. And that way, when I click on it, it actually takes me to my browser app. And then in production, it's going to be, well, the production URL. But I've got that. And instead of making the default export an anonymous object, I named it all invars and put all of them in here. And that's because I want to change up this testing process to test everything. Because right now, every one of these is actually integral to the application's functionality. I don't want any of those to be undefined. So that's why I'm rearranging it in this way, just to make it a little easier for me to test everything in bulk versus having to individually validate every object one by one, which I still could do, but I'm going to do this instead. So we're going to get every one of these object keys and then grab the object in a very uninspired variable name. All invars at key. And then we're going to move. And then we're going to cast key as key of type of all invars. So it knows that this is a valid key of this object, which I feel like it probably should be able to implicitly pick up on that, but I guess not. And then we're going to move this here and change JWT to obj. All right. And we'll have that just say missing required config vars and kill the app. All right, so we've got our config variables set up. And yeah, let's go ahead and start creating our services. So I'm gonna make a services folder. I'm gonna make a mailer.ts, mailer.ts, not mailter. We need to install the mailgun.js library and the form-data library. And then we will add their types. I think Mailgun has theirs built in. I don't know about form data, so we'll find out. All right, they don't, or they do have it built in, so that's nice. Do I see stubs type definition? Yes, so it too is built in. So let me uninstall that. All right, so both libraries have it built in. That's very convenient. All right, so we'll import Mailgun from mailgun.js, import form data. From form data, we will import our config. Ugh, it's going to make me manually type that out. Unbelievable. All right. And then we'll go ahead and we'll construct our Mailgun client here. So client is equal to new Mailgun, passing in form data. I don't know why it's not just like built into the Mailgun class itself. But, I didn't create the library, so I will use it how they provide it to me, which is in this format. And then the client object takes 2 arguments for us. we need to provide the username. I'm using an API, so the username is actually API, and we'll provide our key, yes, our API key. And then we are validating all of our data. So everything is a string. I just forgot to cast this. So we're going to go lie to TypeScript, which is okay in this instance because we are still validating that it is not undefined. So if it can only be either undefined or a string, if we have gone through the process of actually making sure it's defined before exporting it, then we know it should be a string. It's just TypeScript can't infer that. So we cast it here just so that we don't have to manually type it everywhere else in our app. But now that we've got that, let's create a function called send email, or send mail rather. And what this is gonna do is we'll create an interface here. Called mail props. That's going to take a to string, a from string, a subject string, and then a body string. So all pretty typical parameters here. I think it's actually a pretty extensible library, but we're using this to send out like links in an email. It's not anything too crazy. All right. So we type our incoming arguments and we destructure those out. And then we are going to return a call to client dot messages dot create. This takes your sending domain from where the email is coming from as its first argument. So config dot mailgun dot domain. Yeah. So this is like the URL they give you, either your live production domain or your sandbox domain. It's not related to that domain environment variable that I was talking about. And then your data. We are going to just daisy chain in R2 from subject, and then instead of body, we'll do HTML here. That way I can send HTML, which, you know, is pretty essential if I'm like making links, for example. And that's actually all we need to send emails. We actually have a working, you know, email sending utility here. Now, this is just dealing with sending an email. I need to be able to construct an actual URL. So I don't think we've done anything security wise on the auth side of things for validating tokens. Maybe we have. Okay, yeah. So we've already done some work with JSON Web Token. What I'm going to do is encode a JWT with a short duration, and that way that can also serve as a self-expiring link. But we'll encode that and put that in the URL. So const send verification mail. That is going to take in an email as a string, and that's, I think, all we should need for this. So we will return a call to send mail. 2 is going to be the user's email. From is going to be, let's see, registration, no reply at petmed.com. Yeah, we'll go with that. Subject, click the link. in order to, well, no. That should be in the body. The subject should say, verify your PetMed account. And then here in the body, this will be HTML. Let me format this a little more nicely. Just breaking everything onto separate lines. Please click the below link. And let's see. I should probably generate the token here in this function. I'm going to make a separate service for that and make sendMail really just a pure, distinct function here. Actually, let me do this. I'm going to make a mailgun function, or a mailgun folder here, not function. And then I'm going to make this the index. And I'm also going to make auth email, or just auth.ts. We'll go with that. All right. So this is strictly purely creating a connection to the API itself and sending an email. And then in here, we will import sendMail from our index. And then in here, we can also import the JSON Web Token library. And then also our configuration info, which for some reason does not want to seem to auto import. How dare I have to type that out manually? All right. So token is going to be jwt.sign. The payload, I'm going to encode just the user's email in there for now. I mean, this is not like a login token, so we really just need the email. And that way, the purpose of me putting an email in there and not just like an empty payload just to verify that I was the one who signed that string, is that in the event the JWT verify function fails when I'm trying to actually validate the user account, then we can at least run, you know, the decode function instead of verify, which decode will allow us to extract out the email by itself, and then we can resend everything. So we'll take that email and fire this function again for any validation failure. So that makes it pretty easy for us. So that's what we will wrap up. Then we'll go ahead and sign it with our token signing key. And the expiration for this, we're going to say 15 minutes. That's honestly more than generous for a quick like login validation link. So please click the below link to verify your account. This link will expire in 15 minutes. And then we will put our link here as the domain base. So config.domain.url. So right now this is localhost :3000, or sorry, localhost :8000 in production. It's going to be the same as your server URL. And it's going to take us to a page called verify, and we will say and token is equal to token. So all we're going to do is just cram that in the URL. And the link text itself, I'll just say verify. All right, but that is going to be our verification email sending function. So let's go ahead and export that here. And then let's go ahead and start applying it where it needs to be used, like our user registration route. It needs to be sent there. So we've got our register function and our login function. We're going to change isValidUser to block the user from accessing any resource until they're logged in. So, or until they're verified, excuse me. So we need to change this. And then here in registration, after we have successfully registered the user, here we can go ahead and await send verification email and then pass in the user's email. And since what I want to do is block logging in until accounts are verified, I am actually going to remove the token from here. And there we go. So we are now halfway there to forcing verification before using the app, which I think is actually a pretty critical functionality. You really should verify your users' accounts when they sign up for, depending on the app, but I feel like you really should for most. So we send off the verification email, and if they attempt to log in, once we have validated that they're logging in with the correct credentials, I am actually going to come over here before we allow them to go to the next thing in line and say if not user.isVerified, we'll do return res.status 401.json. And I guess this really should be a 403 because we know who they are. They're just not authorized to log in at the moment. So I will make this message say, check your email. You must verify your account first before logging in. Check your email. A new link which will expire in 15 minutes has been sent. All right. And before that, all we're going to do is await send verification email. So your user now is no longer automatically logged in when they register. And if they attempt to log in after registration without having actually verified that, well, we return early and we also resend the verification email. So that way, we're kind of like, hey, you can't do anything on this app until you've actually verified your account. So that takes care of the sending, but the actual validation logic, it's going to be a little trickier. And I talked about needing to potentially like break up my auth code here because I'm just dumping a bunch of auth code into a singular like index file, and it's starting to get a little cluttered in my opinion. So let me do that. I'm going to break this up into login, register, and verify. And then I'm going to go ahead and just make my index routers, or I guess just routers. Got that defined. All right. So that's done for login, register, and verify. And now what I'm going to do is just excise all of this info out and cram them in their respective files. So post to register goes here. We're going to go get everything imported that we're looking for. So import has badge strings from validators, import DB from DB, import bcrypt from bcrypt. Let's see, import send verification mail. What else are we missing? That actually looks like it. Let me move my library imports up top. All right, register has been successfully migrated over. Can delete a handful of unused imports from in here now. The login request, we're going to go dump over here. Let's see, is valid user. I'm actually just going to do this to get my imports done a little more quickly. Just start using code from whatever file. Except for the config directory, which, like I said, for some reason, having named the default export broke it. It's the weirdest thing. After this video, I'm gonna see if I can try to like repro what's going on and see if that's like a known issue with with VS Code. It's just absurd. Anyway, we've got my auth index here looking a lot cleaner. The token check, we're going to leave here in place just because it's a quick little one-liner. It does not need its own distinct file. All right. We're going to go ahead and do some good old copy-paste. And then do some quick find and replace. router.use /login, comma, login router. We're going to do a little more Control-C, Control-V here. Login gets replaced with register. And then here, login gets replaced with verify. Much better. Cool. Let's see. Login, register, verify, login, register. Just making sure everything's kind of ordered nicely. I reorganize this. Let's see, library imports, and then database folder, and then services and validators, and then for login, got library imports, folders, and then individual middlewares. All right. Just doing a quick little code reorganization. So the verify route. We're going to land on a client-side page after clicking the link, and I'm basically just going to take the URL and daisy chain it down here to the server. So I'm going to have a GET request that's going to be something like get/auth/verify $token equals, and then like whatever the JWT is. I'm also going to have another query param here, type, and it's because we can reuse this verification function for a couple of things. We can use it for, one, verifying the account. Two, we can also use it for magic link logins, since that's effectively the same process. And three, we could even use it for initiating password resets. So yeah, we'll do that. All right. So that means I need to change this to also include and type equals verification. in the query params. So token and type are what we're going to extract out. So yeah, router.get and in here we are going to need the JSON web token library. And then, man, it's so weird. I just don't know why. My config directory just does not exist in VS Code's memory. All right. Well, we've got a request here. We need to go ahead and extract token and type out of the URL params. So rec.params is our object with all of our query parameters, and then we are going to extract out token and type, and then we're going to validate and make sure they're all there. So if not token or type of token does not equal string. And the reason why we're doing that, or sorry, rec.query, the reason why we're not doing, or the reason why we're doing this check here is you can have multiple request parameters of the same name. It'll actually create like an array of values. So I could have type equals verification and type equals like pizza or like user, and that way type would be an array of verification and user. And so we need to assert that these are just a linear string. And for this, what status code should I make for that? I'm going to go with a 401 on that. I feel like that's a little more intuitive than just a bad request. Well, actually, now that I say that, I feel like 400 might be a little more fitting. So here we'll say missing token parameter. And we're going to do the same thing for type. We also want type to be of the type verification, or let's see, verification. Let's see, magic for like magic links. Eventually we'll do that, and then maybe reset. We'll see. And then I'll say if not valid types dot includes type. All right, so we're just making sure that type not only is an included string, but it's either verification or magic or reset. And just because I'm paranoid AF, let me triple check that I've got it spelled correctly with a little copy paste. I do, so that would be a lot of potential headache to go through in case I missed that. So now that we've got that, we actually need to go ahead and see if we can verify the token contents themselves to make sure that, yes, the email in there is legitimate because we signed the token, and also the token's not expired, meaning they did click it in a reasonable time frame. So, foo is equal to jwt.verify the token, and we're going to give it that. And then description wise, I'm just going to do a cast here to say it's an object with an email in it. So we'll destructure out the email. And if we get below this line of code, we know we were actually successful in extracting that. The user, is legit. It's a legit token. We signed it, so it's not tampered with. It's not invalidated. Now, in the event that we do have some JWT issue, in case it is expired or it is spoofed or somehow maybe they didn't click on the link, they copy pasted it instead, and maybe they cut it off prematurely or something. Really, the big thing that we're expecting here is an expiration. That's kind of our big need here. So what we're going to do instead is resend the email, but we're going to use the decoding function, which extracts the info out without verifying it. So worst case scenario, somebody could spoof a token for their own email, and then they click on it, and then our server receives the token, and then it fails this process, and then it gets caught here, and a verification link gets sent to them. But we just kind of get into a loop where that new token, well, we'd create that second new token. So I guess somebody could technically try to verify a link for an account that does not exist yet. In which case our update on the database would just fail because nothing exists for that yet. So there's no security implication or concern. So yeah, I'm just trying to think of every potential, issue we could encounter. So await jwt.decode or const. And basically we need the second half of the line here, so I'll do that. jwt.decode. Oh, it doesn't need to validate that the token is actually legit, so we don't need to provide that. Gotcha, duh. All right, await send verification email to email res.status 401. And we're gonna send, well, 403 really. Actually, what we sent in the login middleware is more or less what I want to send here. So accept verification failed. And in theory, there could be an error thrown from this. So I guess there could be a Mailgun API issue. So let me structure it this way. I don't really love having nested stuff like that, but I don't want any uncaught exceptions on my server, so I probably do want to log that out though. An unknown error occurred when attempting to resend email. To resend verification email. Please try verifying again later. So in the event that there's like a mailgun issue, maybe they're over capacity, this at least is informing the user like, hey, you know, try again in a little bit. All right. But once we've got all of our, you know, error handling done now, we're at this line of code where we know that a user clicked on a link, it's legit, everything is squared away. And so if it is a verification link, what I want to do is go ahead and, you know, verify that account. So I need to come over here. We do have a verify function. Doesn't mean I have to find the user first. I guess in the token, we could also encode the user's ID. So otherwise, if we're only encoding the email in there, I would have to find the user first in order to get their ID and then do it. So we would just double up on queries here. So what I will do is, yeah. Oh no, that's not what I intended. There we go. So I'm going to pass in the email and the ID. And then when generating the token, send verification, email ID. Okay, so when we register, it's got all the correct info it needs. When somebody attempts to log in, we've got their email and we've verified the user account is logging in with the correct credentials. They're just not, you know, authorized yet. So we actually know that we have the right user object. All right, so in the login middleware, just making sure nobody can use the app until they've verified. That's good. Then our registration, the initial one, that's good. And then for our fallbacks, we have the extraction of the ID out. Oh, and I actually never sent the email in the first place, or maybe I did and I just deleted it and immediately forgot that I did that. All right, there we go. So we've got everything in place. We can now finally await db dot, almost everything in place. Import db from db. db dot users dot verify ID. Yay! All right, now finally, let's generate a token. So, type-wise, what is in the payload? The ID and the name. I don't have scope of the user's name in here unless I actually go look them up. I don't want to also encode that in the token itself. Maybe I will. Yeah, let me do that. All right. So I'm also going to add the email, or sorry, the name in the sending of the verification. And should I add the email to like the actual login JWT? We've got the ID. I mean, that's their unique identifier. And we're presenting the name in there as well. And that way, like client side, we can decode it and like, all right, whatever. I'm not going to add the email to the actual login JWT. I'll just do the ID and the name there. But I will go ahead and add the name in for the verification. And then let me make an interface for this. Export interface verification payload. All right. So this can now be retyped as verification payload instead of just an anonymous object. And then our code is breaking where we need to send some additional data. So here we need to pass in the user.name. So here in our login check, we've got that accounted for. Registration, we need to account for that. And then our fallback code, we can now extract name out of there as well. So we'll type that as verification payload, and that way we can also extract out the name. Send verification mail. Oh, I didn't destructure that. I was like, wait a sec. All right. So now everything is done there. And now I have the name to add into the login token, which yet again, I don't know. Do I really need that? No, but we've got the ID in there, and that's really all we need. But let's go ahead and log in this user. So our payload here is going to be of the regular payload type, where we have the ID and name. And we've got a naming scope issue here. So I'm going to call this login token. jwt.sign payload config .jwt.secret, and I probably, since I don't remember what the login request was doing for expiration time, I put it in an environment variable. I was like, since I don't remember what's in there, you know, with my single source of truth, or I should probably define a single source of truth by having like a login token signing utility, but got that here. So ID name. I feel like something's different between these two. I don't know what it is. And I mean, same data, I just packaged it up in a named object. Okay. Maybe that's all that I thought was suspect. All right, res.status 200. Successfully verified account, and then token, login token. Boom. All right, server side wise, we have all we need to actually verify the token and actually send out the email. I need to make like a quick little proof of concept to show the client side, like actually being able to make that work. So I did say that the email link had /verify on it, so we will actually have a client side verify route. So let me go ahead and start installing React Router DOM in this project. And into my dev dependencies, its respective types. And while that is underway, I'm going to go ahead and obliterate all this client-side code that I don't need, which is actually all of it, more or less. I should have just like deleted it and started from scratch, really. All right. All right, here in our app, we're gonna make a browser router. We're gonna make a routes component where we have, I'm just gonna make a quick little home route here. So routes, path equals just a little slash here, element. Welcome to PetMed. So boom, we've got our first route done. And then we'll go ahead and set up our verify page. So clicking on a link will take us to localhost 8000/verify. React Router DOM will navigate us here and we'll validate that token. So let's go ahead and let me actually, so we've got like a little vaporwave theme. We've got Bootstrap imported in here by default. I'm going to leave Bootstrap in just because it's quick and easy, but I will delete the vaporwave theme so it's standard Bootstrap coloring. And now that we've got that, I'm going to make a views folder for our client side. And then I guess I should have like a login route. I know that we did create our account via Postman before I had like the login block in place. We should do that for full like A to B testing, I guess. And then let's see. And here we'll have our use effect load. And then we need to extract out sorry about that, big sneeze, but thankfully I managed to hit my mic before that happened. So here we're gonna extract out our URL params. So I think that's window.location. I can never remember this for the life of me. Like if it was a life or death situation, I'd be toast. Let's see, new URL search params, passing in the URL. I think, and params dot get token. Yeah, okay. Let's see if I can at least like extract the variables out. So token, set token. And we actually don't need any state probably not with how I'm going to design this page. It's just going to like fetch, you know, to the server, hitting up that verification route, and then like navigate you back to like the login or the home page eventually. But for now, I'm going to see if we can get this outputted. All right, so let's get this server up and running. And let me go ahead and code out a super quick and dirty form here. Do I have another server running, or did I write some really bad code? I still had a server running. Cool. I'm going to kill 3000, 3001, 5173, 4000, just because I leave a litany of projects open and I never remember to shut them down. That is all on me. All right. Let's see. I'm going to wrap all of my elements here in a main element with the Bootstrap container class around it, just so everything is responsive to a degree by default. Just make it a little bit easier for myself. Div.row.margin top 5. I'm going to create a column here, full width on small screen, so 12 out of 12 units, and on a medium screen or greater, we'll make it like 7 out of 12. So just like a little over half width. And we're going to make a Bootstrap card, shadow-large, padding 3, so there's some breathing room on the interior. And we're basically going to make this like look like a form. So I need a couple pieces of state here. I need the email and the password, and I guess the name. Ah, crap, I got the entire form to think about. Email, password. Name. Well, I'm thinking in terms of login and register. Let me do just the login first. So my user account is unverified, I'm pretty sure, unless I manually change that in the database. So let me double check that real quick. Dragged over my other monitor. All right. Let's see, so users over here. Let's go see my user data. Oh wait, wrong app. It's like, wait a sec. Is verified, currently false. Excellent. So I'm going to attempt to log in with that user's credentials, which should trigger the server to say, hey, this user is not verified. He's logging in with the right info, but go ahead and resend that verification email. So, well, that also does require me registering with my real information, so that way I can get the, okay. All right. Input type email, value is equal to email, and then on change, set email to event.target.value. And we are going to do a little copy paste to Rooney for our password, provided I paste them in the correct spot, that is. There we go. I'll also make this have a name of email, so that way the HTML4 is properly linked up with this. HTML for password, well, this is going to have a name of password. Type is password, so it properly obscures everything. Value is the password piece of state. And on change, we are going to set password to e.target.value. And then we'll have a submit button saying log in, in. All right. And I'm definitely going to polish this up and make the UI a lot nicer to work with. This is really just kind of the quick and minimum viable product, but we have a lot of client-side work to do, so. And, you know, this clearly is not going to work in production because I'm hard coding localhost colon 3000, and I have to specify that because I am running my app on, you know, 2 separate ports. So I do have to specify that for right now. And then method here, post headers, content type is application/JSON. And then, whoops. And then our data, our body here is going to be JSON stringifying our email password. And then for now, I'm sure I'm just going to console log everything and then console error any caught errors, which, like I said, we are going to be doing a ton more work on the client side. So this is just my very quick and dirty, you know, overview, just doing a quick test for our server-side workflow. So button on click, handle login. All right, let's go to find a route here that can get us there. All right, let's make a very quick navbar. So we'll go to our components folder, create a navbar. We're going to import the link component from React Router DOM and make a few links here. Go with the classic Bootstrap blue. We'll go with dark buttons as well. So here, sync is going to be to the home page. And this is going to be our login link. All right, time to close out of some files. Let me import the navbar here. Did a lot more client-side development than I thought, but, you know, like I said, I do kind of want to actually verify everything's working, even from the client side. And close out of that. When we actually click the verification link from the email, we are just going to see it get outputted on screen. So we're not actually sending it to our server yet. I just want to make sure we can receive it correctly and extract it out correctly. Whatever. We'll just do some quick assertions here. All right, but yeah, let's actually just go. So nothing in my email inbox yet. Oh, I have to register. Let me do this. So I used Postman to create this account. So I'm going to have to actually go back to look at what the password is, but I can change this to my email. Just, you know, for a quick registration workflow. All right, PetMed, Auth, register. Hunter2 as the classic password. Excellent. Okay, so I don't actually need a lot for registering. I just need the name. So I'll make that form dynamic at a later point. But let me go ahead and apply those changes. Then I'll come over here. Looks terrible for now, but we'll make it look a lot nicer in due time. I'll come to login. It's looking rough, but you know, like I said, we'll make it look better. Andrew at covalence.io. Pass in Hunter2. This button, whatever. And so that should have fired off a response. Not found. Oh, you know what? I did not append the domain, did I? Localhost colon 3000. Oh, I did. /auth/login. Why did that 404? Oh, CORS error in my face. We do have that enabled at the moment. We are in development mode. I am running on 2 distinct ports. Let's see, let me look at my network tab. /auth/login. Let's see, /auth takes us to the auth router. /auth/login takes us to the login router. Oh, I'm an idiot. I just blindly copy pasted, so that was /auth/login/login. Same thing for register. Verify, I did create from scratch, so that one's all right. All right, now, should have gotten a 403, excellent. Response saying you must first verify your email. So this is simulating a user that registered and tried to immediately log in without verifying. And I don't have any errors in my console, so it doesn't look like Mailgun failed. It's just taking a hot second to fire off. Let's see. I will fire off a server-side log here just to ensure that it's actually getting sent. Okay. So Mailgun might just be backed up for some reason, or it might just be getting sent to my spam filter now that I say that. Okay, yep. So it's coming from a sandbox domain from Mailgun. It's saying, you know, registration. It's got a call to action compelling you to click on a link. So it's not surprising that that is getting spam filtered. But yeah, once, you know, I'm not using my sandbox account, once I'm using my legit production credentials, it's not going to hit the spam inbox anymore. But we hover over this, it takes us to localhost colon 8000/verify/token, blah, 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 and type equals verification. So we should land here on PetMed. And I never linked up the verification page. So let me go back. Yeah, so here's the verification page all by its lonesome self because it never got hooked up to my browser router, which is a very classic Andrew move if you all know me, which that is very quick to fix. So, and I'm not accessing the variables in the right way with the URL params. So let me actually slap in a debugger here. params is a URL search params object. And then can I just extract out named properties, or params dot get all params dot get token So it did look interesting from the structure. Like, it looks like it's treating this as the key, like the entire string, and then type down here is successfully getting stripped off. Let's see. Params.entries. No, params.keys. I clearly don't know what the URL params construction object is like. So window.location. Like I said, you put a gun to my head, I am dead in trying to parse out URL params. I guess I could just do like some manual parsing, like, let's see. Window.location dot actually, yeah. Dot replace window.location dot origin with nothing. Cool. So that gets us our stripped URL. And also, let's see, we have path name that we also probably want to strip off too. So we'll just concatenate the path name with the origin, and that should give us a string of just our query params themselves. So let's paste that here in our debugger. Yep. All right. And so what we can do is a string split on the ampersand, and then we can do a loop on that, string split, key equals value pair. Or actually, no. I don't need to do that, because all I need to do is actually hit up my server. Yeah, I don't know. What am I doing? This is the server URL I need. I just need to daisy chain it down to the server. So, yeah. I don't know what I'm thinking, y'all. All right. So we don't need any state. We straight up just need to hit up the server. And then make a GET request to the server. So and yet again, it's not dynamic right now because we got a lot more client-side code to write. But for now, we are just directly adding the origin in. So this is going to hit up localhost 3000/verify, daisy chaining all the params down, and then if I have a message in there, what I will do is, well, actually, if I have a token in there because my user's logging in, I'll actually show the login token here. So if we can extract that out. All right, so I'm going to come over here, click this, and let's see what is getting parsed incorrectly. Let me refresh. Oh, it's not verify, it's /auth/verify. Now we should see a token shortly. /auth/verify 403. So we're failing, but why? Could it be that the token that I'm clicking on is already 15 minutes old and Gmail just did an update? And I'm not like invalidating the previous ones. We would have to store them in a database to, you know, have something more stateful, but let's see. We're getting a 403 when we hit up /auth/verify. /auth/verify. It's a GET request, gets us here. We've got our query params here. We're not hitting those up. We are getting a 403 saying verification failed. So it's failing when it's attempting to verify the token here. Or maybe it's failing. Sorry, I'm not logging the initial error here, so that's on me. So I don't know why it was failing. Could just be a simple database error, for all I know. So I'll reload this page because this token is still quote unquote good. Oh, I'm an idiot. Yeah. Okay. So with Postgres, I actually did distinctly make the column Boolean, and my query says 1. So that is all on me. So database queries, users, true. Something as silly as a simple database error. All right, here we go. Gonna come over here. Gonna go to the most brand new one, click and verify, and then we got it. So we were able to actually verify our user account, which previously this says is verified as false, but if we go check it now, is verified, is true. So finally, we do have our login workflow actually working to a degree. Like client side, the UX sucks right now, but everything on the server is functioning exactly as we intended to. So fantastic, huge step. That means we've got a few more pieces that we can do. Next step, we will be doing some more service work. So we're going to end up integrating AWS, the AWS SDK here, so we can upload images to S3, and that way we can get our pets images. But finally, we've got some really good Auth workflow. This was going to be, a bit of work that I'm thankful we went ahead and just took care of. But yeah, so anyway, if you stuck through this video, good on you, because geez, that's an hour 15 of me talking, and I don't know if I could stand myself talking for that long. So if you've been enjoying this series and have made it this far, please go ahead and like the video and subscribe to us if you're not already subscribed. If you want to see me do something in this series or have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. I love getting comments on YouTube. It really makes my day, even if the comment's like, Andrew, you suck. I'm like, okay, well, somebody noticed me, so I feel validated with that. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will catch you in episode 7.